today we have a very mobilizing quote by Rumi, I would say. And it says the following: stop acting so small. You are the universe in ecstatic motion.
Gives enormous expectations from ourselves, right? Because we are the universe. So I would say, I'm not sure about the second part of the quote, but certainly I will go for the first part of the quote, which is don't act so small, right? And again, the way I use it in coaching is a little bit related with the theme of the last week, which is the self-definition. And what is the relation between act so small and the self-definition? It's obvious. If you define yourself small, then you will act small, right? So when the quote says, don't act so small, in fact, my take on it or my understanding of it is don't define yourself small, right? And therefore, if you define yourself, let's say, big or bigger or expanded version, then obviously from the definition, the self-definition comes the act, right? So then I'm just looking for situations. Yeah, there is a client that comes to my mind, which so she went for the first selection process in the institutions, and despite the fact that she was, PhD in economics, right? So PhD in economics is still, good Lord, one of, I don't know, 10% of the population that has university degree. I mean, not everybody has a PhD in economics, even more so in economics, right? Anyway, so here comes the gap, right? That she defined herself quite small. So despite that, high level of education and high level of experience, she went for selection process at a very junior level. That means with people who had only university degrees, right? So there was no way that she was not at that level. Now, as I said, life happens, and sometimes you go for this selection process because whatever, you're desperate and so, but mostly because your self-definition is there, right? Now, the good news is that she passed this first competition, and then obviously I encourage her to go for the next. So then she comes back in the year after, and she goes again for another selection process for, let's say, a senior job, right? Not very senior, we are not yet in the management positions, but still a senior job. And she passed again that competition. So that is to say that initially, right, she was playing small because her definition of herself was small, and she was seeing herself as, let's say, the most junior level. But then throughout the coaching process, I believe I have a contribution, or I've had a contribution there. Her self-definition started to change. So she saw herself at a more senior position, and that's why she went for the second selection process, which was for a senior expert position. And then still, I encourage her to come back the year after, and now finally to go for a management position, which was, let's say, not even her level, let's call it, but at least we started to get in that good direction. So now she is in this management position selection process, and obviously I'm so hopeful that she will make it, because we still have a road to follow together.
Yeah, it sounds that it's a good example of someone that never stopped in a small action.
So even though she started by a small action, then she continued, or how to say that, to expand her small action into something like a little bit bigger, and so. And yes, indeed, this is a great, how to say, it's so inspiring story at the end of the day.